going on, everybody? Today is January 14th, 2021, and I'm Mike. And this is
Nailed it!
Got our attention.
Holy shit.
I'm here with Brian today, guys.
You got the date, you got the year, hell, you got the title, but I fucked up.
I was trying to go for like the dateline feel. Like, today is January 14th, 2021.
You're pausing so much before the beginning. I couldn't tell if you were trying to figure it out or if you're pausing for effect or what. Dude, there is I could not believe how much news there was this week when we're just in January. We're like the second week of January, and
we got some big announcements.
This is not normally a news week for games. And
New Year, new shit. I mean, come on.
Oh, yeah, we're also here with Bruno. We have Bruno as well.
Oh, what up?
Our famous Canadian.
I'm here interjecting earlier than I'm supposed to.
Fantastic.
No, this is us being organic, Bruno. We're bringing the naturally raised podcast.
Does that mean we cost a little extra in comparison to other podcasts?
Yeah, it's
absolutely.
Farm
we're a couple
podcast.
more cents than free.
Yeah, congratulations, we're no longer free anymore.
Farm to podcast.
We're expensive free.
We're expensive free. We're free to listen.
If you listen to us, it's still free, but it's bougie.
Yeah.
So you can feel better about yourself. You can look
friends
down on other people who listen to other podcasts. You're like, whatever, that podcast is mainstream. I listen to this sick ass organic podcast.
So if you're ever at Starbucks, you could listen to us. We're
right
for sure.
Or riding your Peloton, you could.
It's also
Whole Foods. If you go to Whole Foods.
Whole Foods, that's a good one.
Yeah.
It's also free to listen, so that you can just listen to the normal podcast. But you also have these audio loot boxes that you can download for a cost that will make Xycia sound like Brad Pitt.
Audio loot boxes. Where do I find these? I would like to hear myself sound like Brad Pitt. That'd be fantastic. Oh,
dude,
man.
I'd love to hear myself sounding like Ryan Reynolds. That'd be kind of interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, and I do not compare I'm not funny. Let's just start with that. I'm not funny.
Imagine having like your Google Maps talk like, because they had one for I think Waze. It was like Samuel Jackson, but like imagine having like Ryan Reynolds as like the Deadpool Ryan Reynolds.
But can I make a request?
Yeah,
the
sure.
voiceover that we use for him for Brad Pitt, it has to be Brad Pitt, but when he's acting in the movie Inglourious Bastards, specifically in the part where he's trying to fake a like Italian accent, that specific scene.
That's
so the
bad.
whole thing is just Brad Pitt with a really bad Italian accent, but as a voiceover for Mike.
That's pretty bad.
So he starts the podcast being like, "Buongiorno."
Buongiorno.
we had a GPS before smartphones, and the GPS you could download voices, and we had John Cleese. So the GPS was speaking to us in this British accent and using British terminology. I think they have some other word for merge, because he was like, bear right, V'ger left. And I was like, what the hell is V'ger left?
See.
And we were so confused.
I still remember when the GPS was just my mom screaming at my dad while looking at a map.
Yeah, the whole map quest.
So it sounded like, "Fuck a scat are you? Put a key." And I just like, I'm
legit,
4.
legit. I had finally gotten my significant other to the point where she could. She read a map fine. That wasn't the problem. It's the whole concept that if you're looking at a map right side up and you're going south on it, to reverse your right and left when you say turn right or left, which granted, is not always an easy thing. Luckily with gamers with spatial awareness, sometimes it helps, but I'd gotten to the point where she was great at it. Doesn't matter which way we were going. She would hold the map right side up so she could read everything. She'd tell me left or right perfectly. Just got that all worked out. Smartphones come out and have GPS guidance, and we didn't need to do that anymore.
I know, and it's been great ever since, because back in the day, having to do MapQuest or something sucked. I hated that. Like, printed it out, because then you'd print it out on Yahoo, you'd print it out on MapQuest, you'd print it out on some other site, and they're all different. But the best thing that ever happened was a buddy of mine using Apple Maps. This is after the phones were out, and he got directions to this place, and it said, "All right, now park your car and walk like 1,000 steps to the location." And he was like, yeah, I'm not doing that. So it was.
I'm gonna park closer.
Off. Yeah, it was off, just to say the least.
Well, and you say it's great, but it also kind of sucks because, like, I legit, if I use whatever navigation nowadays, half the time I wouldn't be able to find my way back by myself. But back in the old day when I'd print out the maps and everything and learn the street names and stuff like that, I could find my way back.
Yeah, that's fair.
Navigate. Yeah, like my whole concept of, like, people say, "Oh yeah, just go down here," and I'm like, "Where are you even talking about?" And I'm like, "Oh, it's a street 2 miles from my house, and I go down it all the time, and I should know it." But I'm like, I just follow. Hey, turn right here, turn left here.
I mean,
nobody has to pay attention to that stuff anymore.
It's the same concept of like cell phones, like having what's your phone number? You know, do you know your wife's phone number? Do you know your parents' phone number? Like, do you know that stuff by heart anymore? Most people don't. Like I'm like, yeah, I know my number.
I know
like,
my phone number because I have to give it to people, and I'm very good at remembering things, but my brain already knows enough to be like, I don't have to remember any of this shit.
Oh yeah, you purge all that out.
If you had gone to like 8-year-old me and been like, hey, what's every single one of your friends' phone number? I'd be like, this, and then phones came out, and I was like, it doesn't even matter anymore. I used to be so happy because I've always been really good at math, but now what the fuck does it matter if you're good at math? Nobody needs you to do math anymore. All those teachers that would preach to their students, you're not going to have a calculator with you all the time. And it's like, I have 2, like right now.
Yep. I can do.
And then it's just,
even high level stuff if I need to.
I don't even have to type the numbers or the equation. I can literally just be like, hey Siri, what the fuck? And Siri will be like, I got you.
Well, in like 5 more years, Mike's going to have a calculator following around all the time. He's just going to look back at him at his little tyke and go, hey, what's 5 times 4? And there's going to be an answer that just squeaks up to him.
I hope so. That'd be great. I hope he takes after his mother because, man, me and academics, actually early in life was great. I used to be on a roll and stuff, but when it got to college, like I enjoyed the college life, we'll just say. I definitely enjoyed the college life.
I've caught
glimpses. I was the exact opposite. I did horrible in high school, and I went to college, and I was paying for it myself, and I was like, well, I'm paying for this. I better get a good grade.
Yeah, I'm still paying for it.
But
fuck, I'm
speaking
paying
of
for it, I never got to go.
Speaking of squeaking different voices.
Yeah, so it's funny how we just get sidetracked even from the sidetrack things we're going to talk about before the news.
Yeah, right.
But nevertheless, the one thing that caught my news this week, and it's kind of newsy. I guess we could have probably covered this in maybe the shorts or something, but it was more of a talking point just because of, and this goes back to the COVID pandemic, right? So here we are, year 2, or technically after the year 1, I guess, 2021. COVID didn't disappear; it's still here, unfortunately. So we're still all kind of dealing with it in our own ways, and however you handle that yourself, whether you don't care, wear a mask or whatever. But Razer has decided that they're going to put out their own N95 mask, and it has 2 respirators on it. It can charge. It does all the Razer things, so you can literally have it like change colors and stuff. One of the things they point out is that it's a glass see-through at the front, so you can actually see people's lips moving, and the lights like accentuate that, which is super crazy. And it's I mean, it looks sleek. I guess if we were going towards the Bane look or like the Cyberpunk look, if that's literally what's going to be in the future, that's literally it. And so what they've said is this. They claim for it to be the world's smartest mask, which I guess battery powered. Yeah, I guess at that point. But it's going to be reusable. So the N95s will be reusable on this. It's called Project Hansel. And they have claimed to be surgical. But the problem is, well, not the problem. They just haven't actually had that like a certified by anybody yet. So the CDC has not said anything on this yet. The FDA hasn't said anything on this yet. All of the other places that you would get certified haven't actually said anything with this yet. But it's mostly the idea. And the other thing with this too is it's going to have microphones on the inside of it so that it'll amplify your voice. And actually and with this, you can actually change your voice a little bit. So if you wanted to have a more deeper voice, you could do that. Or, if you wanted to have a squeakier voice, I guess you could do that as well.
That's where it starts to break down for me. I mean, aside from this picture where you can clearly see that there's not an airtight seal as the light bleeds through over his nose on the side of his nose. But I mean, changing the voice, that I get that this has most likely been in development for over a year. So it's not like they can back out now and decide not to do it.
Yeah.
But boy, right after the DC riots, this is probably not the best time to announce this of like, hey, not only can you like hide your face and then have lights, that'll make it even harder for face detection or anything like that. And granted, I do like privacy and I'm not a fan of face detection, but yeah, you can change your voice too. So then it's even harder for like people to find you.
Yeah. We were joking.
I don't know. It's kind of,
well, we were kind of joking
one,
about
half
that
a dozen of the other.
As before the podcast, like we were joking about that because it was like, are they going to make you log in? Are you going to have like your voice synced with the device so it can recognize your voice? So your profile, yeah.
Because the thing is, a lot of the people that are going to do this stuff probably wouldn't trust that anyways. They'd be like, big tech companies are trying to track us down. That thing, we're going to put it on our face and it's going to embed chips into our earlobes and then they're going to know where we're at any given time. So
as they're on their cell phone reporting this on Twitter.
The front panel is like see-through. And if this has taught us anything, it's that apparently masks aren't that good at hiding who you are anyways, because most of the people that were wearing masks and doing illegal shit all got arrested anyways. So
yeah. And I am an advocate of privacy, so I'm not all that bent out of shape of it. I just figured, but I think Mike, you mentioned a really great idea is that they probably have one of those like, you know, like either ultra high frequency or something like that, like audio signature embedded in this, so that even if you change your voice, they probably have a serial number, like an audio serial number that they could identify with the mask. I would not be shocked if they did something. Well,
right,
like that.
But I mean, they'll market it as. I mean, this is all hypothetical. We're just talking here, right? But they could market it as like to sync to your profile, because you obviously if you put on, what if I put it on and it's yours? Like it would know the profile. So, but if it hears your voice and it syncs, then you know. Oh man.
Well, I mean, that's a different way they could do it. Because like the serial number, they could just embed in at the factory level. If you never sync, it's there. And then, like you said, if it syncs with your voice, then they're like, well, here's a voice print.
Yeah. The other thing they mentioned
again, being an advocate of privacy, I would not want a company doing that. And we're just talking out of our ass here. We don't know that they're doing any of this shit, but I could see them doing one of those couple of things.
Yeah. The other thing they mentioned is another project. It's in, you know, concept phase at this point. And it's a gaming chair, and the project's called Project Brooklyn. And it's a high-end gaming chair. Apparently it has like haptic feedback. It almost looks like a student desk, but like gamer razor chair. But it also has like a weird screen, which I thought this was almost a COVID thing because the way it was like maybe trying to like keep you from sneezing on people. But it's actually supposed to be like the screen that you're going to be, I guess, in. But they haven't actually built this prototype at all. This is like literally just concept, like 3D art that they have at this point. But it's quite interesting.
I laughed so hard when I fucking saw the first image of that concept, because somebody took it and made a meme. So they took that and they took an image of one of the people from the WALL-E movie sitting inside of the space chairs with like the screen floating in front of them. And it looked identical, nearly identical in structure and theme. So it's like this really like kind of, it's like a blocky chair with like very large cushioning and the rounded edges. And the guy's just leaning back in it, and there's just a giant curved virtual monitor in front of him. And I was like, yeah, no, that's what we're heading towards. Razor's going to take us to the maximum peak of laziness.
Yeah.
I see. So you said that, and I thought you were talking about that scorpion chair that has been thrown out there before and then hit big again on CES. Have you seen this thing?
I don't think so.
Oh my God. Like, look at this thing.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
No, yep. Wait. Watch it in motion.
Oh, wait a minute. It moves. It totally moves.
It moves and gets out of your way when you need to get up.
Oh my God.
That scorpion chair is bonkers. Like that's got to be like a $5,000 chair or some goofy shit.
Probably more
like
than that.
At least.
That's wild.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure it doesn't even come with like look at this picture. This is insane. I'm sure it doesn't come with the monitors, but just the chair itself.
Those are $2,000 extra.
Well, per monitor, pretty much. Yeah, but Bruno and Oh shit.
We're on the
Oh,
same
no.
page.
Uh-oh.
Oh.
We just
Okay,
Found the
no,
cost.
okay, no, it's $18.99.
Oh, what? That's it?
That's it. That's actually not as bad as I
And
expected.
it
to be.
weighs 265 pounds.
Is that the prototype that fits on your desk? It's like the
The
little.
reason
No, I mean,
that I am shocked is because recently Shroud announced his Logitech line like a while back, and there was a chair that came with it, and I shit you not, I'm pretty sure that chair in and of itself had a price tag that was about $1,400, and it looks like a generic office chair. So this fucking thing is apparently roughly the same cost to some degree, considering the extra architecture for it. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, that's pretty
well,
wild.
I mean, there is apparently this one, which is the Predator from Acer, and that's apparently a $14,000 chair.
That thing looks really ugly.
It looks like a headset.
Yeah, it looks like a fucking weird headset.
It does. I think I would rather have the Scorpion chair. I would have nowhere to put
Oh yeah,
the Scorpion chair.
absolutely. I mean, I would
'Cause
have
that
it like
thing
right
looks-
here, but why? I have no idea.
Well,
Yes,
yeah.
so
mean,
I was
like,
right. The
look-
chair is $1,495 for the one that Shroud uses, the Herman Miller Logitech G Embody gaming chair.
Well,
Yeah, the Scorpion chair looks like you need like at least 36 square feet, 6x6 square, to like set this thing up.
And if you have hardwood floors, like carpet, because that thing is gonna scratch the shit.
yeah.
Well, I
Out of
mean,
your
literally down here at the bottom, those feet are pointed. What the hell?
Yep. I say I
yeah,
vote Brian
that
gets
thing's bad
one,
shit.
and then he lets us. He does an unboxing video on it. That's what I vote.
Nope.
He's gonna get that chair.
I have
and then,
no. Do you see this room? Okay, hey, first time without the green screen. Do you see? I have no space for it with like the workbench behind me and the 3D printer set up over there,
It'll be
and then
fine.
then the castle right there, the
Holy
Hogwarts castle.
wow, that's got a lot of progress. I haven't seen that yet.
Oh, yeah, it does. We can't even use the laundry basket to cover it anymore.
Oh right.
Like that was to keep the cats away.
So now it's
can't
in
even cover
dangerous
it anymore.
territory.
I have no room for that chair. That scarily enough, that's the main reason why I wouldn't get it.
Ridiculous.
Besides the fact I wouldn't use it, that just looks. Could you imagine
looks like it'd be
working in that
uncomfortable.
chair and like doing a Zoom meeting?
No, I couldn't. I totally couldn't.
As someone who like frequently does Zoom meetings with Dwayne the Rock Johnson sitting behind me,
Yeah.
This is true.
I don't think that a weird scorpion chair is gonna make it too much more odd.
That's true.
Well, especially since they're not going to see it from a side view. I mean, they're just looking at your face. So
They're just gonna be like, what the hell is that weird column behind you? And be like, it's the thing holding you guys up in front of me.
Oh man.
But I guess like our next little like pre-news story, it's kind of like a it's on The Verge. It's by somebody named Elizabeth. She talks about what she calls chill imbibes, which is like a new thing. This is not something that I haven't heard of before. Essentially, it's the primary thing. There's a lot of different things they put in these drinks, but the primary idea behind chill imbibes or like calming drinks is CBD. So there's like a really large growing market for CBD based drinks. So she kind of goes into the details. She actually tests like a ridiculous amount of them with varying degrees of success.
I bet.
And for her, I guess the kind of overall outcome is they kind of make me hazy. They don't really relax me overall. From what I know about these, it definitely is very much different person to person. Some people get no benefit out of them. Some of them get a net negative out of them. They actually feel worse. Like what she explained, she's like, I can't work if I drink these things because I'm like it's like brain fog. But it's a very large market now, even more so during the COVID era because the marketing for these drinks is they help you with stress.
Everybody's just chilling, man.
Are you stressed? Are you anxious about how great the world is right now? Are things just not fantastic for you? and drink one of these drinks. They'll chill you right out. Or if you're a certain kind of person, they'll make you extremely anxious on top of your anxiety, or they'll help you. Who knows? But she kind of goes
Recess. One of them is actually called Recess.
Yep. So she tests a ton of these. She talks about, like, at one point she actually sat down and watched the first presidential debate, which, if you did not watch the first presidential debate or you're not from the United States, that was kind of a shit show. So, like, kind of like two trains on fire careening into each other, but they're like 3,000 cars long, and for some reason the velocity never stops, so they just keep crashing. That's right. Literally the whole thing. So if you're an American, you probably felt a little less than stellar watching that unfold, which she is. So she drank, apparently, I think when I was reading, she said a total of 7. 7 of these.
Sounds like a problem.
Now, note, a lot of these actually taste really good from personal experience. I have tried some of these, they're not bad. And then from a lot of other people, there's apparently, like, really good ones. Like, that tastes like cream soda, shit like that. So, like, it's pretty easy to think, like, you down 7 of these, kind of like some people will down, like, a shit ton of energy drinks. And according to her, all she ended up with was a horrible, horrible stomach issue for, like, over a day.
If you drink 7 of those, I think you'd have a horrible
Well,
stomach
especially since the Pepsi one, because Pepsi's not going to touch CBD oil. Mm-hmm. They didn't even put melatonin in it, which some of these put in there. Melatonin being a hormone that your body creates to, like, when it's dark out, to make you sleepy. Chill, sleepy, I guess they're close enough. But Driftwell, which is the Pepsi one, uses mostly magnesium. And let me tell you, if you do a lot of magnesium, it can throw your digestive system into, a bit out of whack. So I can imagine, that could be a problem.
So it kind of comes back to, try it if you want to try it, but don't expect anything crazy.
Right.
All right, let's get into the news. We got a lot of good stuff today. But here's the part that you guys hopefully are waiting for. If not, then that's fine too. You can skip ahead. But here's the news.
Fucking losers. Skip ahead.
I
mean, people made, like, other parts of the podcast. I mean, it's not
you
just the news.
You don't want to listen to just shorts. Come on. How are you going to listen to me shit talk Cyberpunk 2077 if you don't stick around the whole time?
We're not investigative reporters here. People aren't coming to us because, we're digging out dirt from, they're coming here because, like, we say things like, Xycia kept, I won't say that again, but apparently you'll have to go back to last week to see what he did to me during the game of the moment.
Disclaimer, nothing.
Bullshit. No, starting off, this is a Kotaku article, but other people, of course, reported on this. Here I am with the again. So there's been an ongoing thing with Twitch, of course, like, you have the different personalities on Twitch trying to get out there and get the most streamers. It's you got Ninja back in the day who went out and actually was playing Fortnite with Drake. At the time, got an astounding 600,000 people watching concurrently while they just played Fortnite, which makes sense. With it being Drake, that's going to pull some people.
Yeah.
And that was around 2018. December 1st, 2020, a streamer, and I'm going to mess up his name because it looks like Greg with an F in it. So I'm going to stick with the Greg.
Before you jump to that, like, right before this, back in, was it October? They had the AOC and the stream for them. So that also broke viewership at the time, which was, I can't remember the number we reported on last time, but it was above the Ninja. That was like the breaking record then.
Yeah, that was 600 some odd thousand, like 624,000. That's correct. That's a good point. Especially since Among Us, like we mentioned last week, has had 500 million people playing it in November, 500 million people. Insane. So this streamer, it's spelled the GREFG. I would butcher the pronunciation, so I'm going to stick with the Greg. Spanish streamer. Back in December 2020, he broke that record and got 660,000 viewers. So we got these incremental little jumps here with viewers until just recently. So the same streamer, Spanish Streamer TheGrefg, was debuting his Fortnite skin. And he just got an astounding amount of viewers and started hitting 1 million. And that alone is amazing. But then on top of it, people started hearing about it. So then you got the snowball effect of people actually wanting to be part of this event that it's almost double what it was before. So I want to be like one of the over 1 million people watching this. And it's kept going up to 2 million to 2.5 million people at one time watching this single streamer. So he completely shattered his own previous record to get an amazing amount during his stream. Again, just debuting his Fortnite skin. He is a popular streamer, of course. It is important to note that, a lot of the Spanish streamers have been really carving out a really great niche. They've, in the resurgent survival game Rust, they have an all Spanish speaking server that they've set up. And while English does remain the primary language at like 34%, and Chinese is 27, almost 28%, Russian's 10.33, and Spanish is 4.62. But still, if you're looking at 4.62 Spanish streamers, and this one guy obliterates the record and pulls 2.5 million people, that's amazing.
Yeah. And I don't even know who this is. It's not even like it's not even like a Shroud or like a Ninja or anything like that.
Well,
it's literally
I mean, it's not to us. He's actually like a really, really popular streamer.
I'm saying, but that's the point. It's like we don't even know
yeah.
him typically as a popular streamer, because it's a different culture. Like it's just that's what's
at least
wild
a
to
different
me.
language.
Different language, yeah.
Yeah.
Because
I watched a little bit of his
before, but yeah. It's interesting. Like just him being from Spain does kind of remove that, because like we're not gonna watch. First of all, the time difference usually screws. Like I find streamers that are really big all the time. If it's like 2:00 in the morning and I'm working on something and I just need background noise, I'll just pop open a random stream. And most of the normal streamers I watch are like obviously not online at 2:00 in the morning, and I'll end up on like a Spanish or like a Portuguese streamer stream, and I'm like, yeah, I mean I can deal with this, like whatever. And like, they'll be pushing away like 30, 40, 50,000 viewers concurrently. And I'm like, okay, yeah.
I know.
Yeah, super enthusiastic too. I was listening to a little bit of his streams, and very almost like a radio announcer, or like
I feel like
a soccer.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. They remind me of like a soccer fan when they're streaming. Like that
not
same
just a
energy.
fan, but like a commentator, like a soccer commentator, and just was very enthusiastic and like just was going, not just talking fast. I don't want to say he's talking fast, because that's not what I mean. I mean, he was just super enthusiastic and a lot of variety in tone and volume and a lot of animation. I could see why somebody would watch him, because it was exciting, and if it was my week to break
if it was my week to break 2.5 million viewers, I'd be enthusiastic the whole time. Too.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Well, I mean, just his normal streams.
Yeah.
I'm sure he lost his shit when he hit even 1 million.
Yeah, I mean, any of that is crazy.
That's like the majority of Twitch at the hours that he streams.
Yeah.
Like all there, like watching him. People that don't even follow him, just like funneling into his stream just to pull it off. I think there were like Reddit posts like, hey, this guy's at like 1 million. Everybody should like go in there and like push him the rest of the way up.
Like virtual flash mobs, yeah.
Like, so now you know that it's gonna happen in the reverse. Now like somebody like I can't see Shroud doing it, but like I could see like one of those more shocking, more intense streamers like that have like no chill. Like I could see like Ninja or XQC or something like trying to like do some crazy ass event to like, let's set a new world record at like 3.5 million.
Nuts.
In similar news, but kind of like a shitty version of Twitch news. Shroud, who's somebody we just talked about, he's one of the largest, I would say, like, definitely in the top 3 streamers for the US and really the world. He's a really big founder for what is like conventional, like, big name streaming. He has this thing that he does, and he's done this for a long time, where he specifically focuses, when he's done streaming, he will find smaller streams, as in like sub 2,000 down to like 50 viewer streams. And I've seen him do this countless occasions because I really do enjoy watching Shroud as background noise. He grades them at the end of his streams with his like 50 to 100 plus thousand concurrent viewers, or he tries anyways. But usually when he's ending his stream, he's come down to like around 30K. Well,
I mean, I'll take 30K.
He was trying. He always does a thing where he, like, when he's ending his stream, he cycles through and he's looking for people he wants to raid. And in the time that he was doing this, I think he started at like 160,000 viewers. He declined to about 89,000. When he went to raid, the Twitch posted back at him saying, "You can't raid with these many people," and it actually stopped him from raiding. There's a cap on how many people you can raid a channel with as of right now, and nobody knows what the cap is. Just that apparently 89,000 is above it. So he ended up having to be like, well, there were like 3 people I was tussling between who I was gonna raid. So if you guys just want to like split up and like go to each person's stream,
cool.
like he was like, I guess I'm too famous. He was like joking, like, too successful for Twitch to handle my rating.
That's
so
funny.
Yeah, so there's just a weird thing, weird oversight or implementation that they've done. Like, because I feel like I've seen people raid with more, so I almost wonder if it's a new rule now that they've implemented.
Well,
because there is some
that or-
toxicity
Yeah.
behind raiding, right? Like, sometimes somebody raids somebody else's stream and it turns out that their mass viewership that's watching them right now are a bunch of shitlords, and they decide to just crap all over this poor person that has a moderation team of like 3, and they're like, great, well, now we have 50,000 people to contend with, and 29,000 of them are assholes. So how do we ban 29,000 assholes in the shortest amount of time possible?
Yeah, pretty much.
That's
super interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, I would have never, like, imagine playing us, like, just playing and all of a sudden having, like, I mean, I've been rated like once by just another, like, affiliate that's just trying to make it as well. And I mean, he probably made less than 10 people over, but I was like super ecstatic. I was like, wow, that's crazy. I couldn't imagine having like tens of thousands of people like rating my channel at the same time. Like, that's just nuts. So
I wouldn't even, just let it go.
Yeah. So last week, I'd mentioned about the POG emotes, that if you were not familiar with the story, is basically a POG. The POG emote, it stands for play of the game emote. And as Brian just showed you, it's basically side face, like mouth wide open, like can't believe something just happened. And initially it was actually a guy named, I have this here somewhere and I had it again. Ryan Gutex Gutierrez, that was his face, known for the actual emote originally. But due to the Capitol riots on January 6th, he had shown some.
Well, to be fair, to him being a bit of a shitlord before that, even for the last apparently 6 to 8 months, he's been kind of going downhill.
Yeah, so he's been kind of basically inciting future violence for this whole like movement that people are going on with the Capitol issue. So after that happened, Twitch made a statement. They said, we want to sentiment and use the POG to live on. Its meaning is much bigger than the person depicted or the image itself. And in its place, or it has a big place in Twitch culture. And then they tweeted out on January 6th, however, we cannot in good conscience continue to enable the use of this image. So they had said, like I said, last week, they'd started like kind of like almost like a contest. Like the viewers kind of made this contest, like the followers, and we're like, hey, we should do this. Hey, we should do that. And one person actually said, we should.
Hey, we have no idea. You tell us what to do.
Yeah, really. So then they had this guy named Sean Plott. And basically he's a former StarCraft 2 player, but he said, hey, why don't we have like a new face every day, like from a database that you guys have built? And that was kind of like the top one, but like nobody, it was kind of like a joke, like, haha, it's funny. Well, Twitch was like,
of course, Day 9 said that.
We're like,
great.
No, let's actually do that. So they actually announced that they were going to make a new face of the Twitch emote for the POGChamp every day of the year. So for 24 hours, there'll be a new POGChamp emote, and then it'll switch out. So the first one was Kenny Unruly McWild. He was the first one that was shown up as the POGChamp. The next one was a streamer dancer named Umi no Kaju, maybe. The third one was Reversal. He's a Pokemon streamer. And then the fourth one is a actor and vocalist, Omega Jones, who's also known as Critical Bard. And so everything was kind of going okay until we got to the time that Critical Bard basically took over. Critical Bard is he's an African-American living in the States, and basically talks about as soon as this happened with his face being on there, he started getting a lot of trolling happening on his page. And he said, from what he reported on, this is a Polygon article, he said that he had a lot of hurtful messages and even death threats during this time. He said he did try to prep his Twitch with his moderators and stuff, because he said, considering I'm a black man who is about to be the face of a global emote Twitch has loved for so long, he figured he'd probably get his moderation team up. He said also a lot of the harassment that was coming was because he had a stream that he actually explained in his own words, his definition of the Black Lives Matter and why it's important. And he said the difference between saying white lives matter and Black Lives Matter. It says specifically people latched on Jones saying that white lives don't matter, which is something he said, but they removed it from context from what he was actually saying, which was the white people can be proud of their heritage, like if they're Scottish or Irish, but being proud of being white is not the same as being proud of being black. Black folk have to say Black Lives Matter because we were stolen from a country, stripped from our heritage and our identities, he said on the stream. And also, all we know is our blackness. That's the difference. So because of that, he basically started getting a lot of trolling, people coming in to saying the most hateful, death threats and all of this stuff going forward. But he said to Polygon again, he said that Twitch was basically just not doing enough about this. Like they changed the emote, but that's not doing enough. And what he said is, I just want them to realize, talking about Twitch, I just want them to realize that they have the ability to quell all of this, he told Polygon. Outright ban folks who fuel these flames, make it harder for those folks to make random accounts just to harass. Saying nothing is the silence that racism and bigots thrive on. Speaking up clearly and taking a stand against racism and hatred does a lot more than what they seem to realize. Don't wait for a black person or marginalized people to message you. We shouldn't have to educate you on how to have better security. So he had kind of, talked about this on the stream and such. And then, who knows if the upper Twitch execs are actually listening. But it's immediately the day after, the next 24 hours, the emote was a Twitch streamer named GAG, who's also known as UTXJG the Dawn, who is actually a famous trans user. His implementation of Deer as the new POGChamp, and the streamer obviously received a mix of support and harassment because of transphobia. So same sort of thing happened again, but not just with the racism, but this time because of transphobia is what they had this time. So there's still obviously going to be hate. There's still going to be some sort of, bigots and all that stuff until a company really steps up and really makes it hard and tough to stand for that kind of thing. We're going to have this. I mean, and this goes even into the gaming community we've talked about before, of how just even like, some games like Rocket League and even League of Legends are just like really bad with toxicity. And it's, there's some things they can put in place, but some things they put in place, but they don't really, back it. And I'll even call out Rocket League for that one. Like that was one of the ones that I'd played for many, many hours. And obviously the community got really toxic. And before they sold out to Epic, they were like, hey, we're going to put things in place to ban certain words. And if you can report people, and that sounded great. We were like, wow, they're finally making progress. Then they sold to Epic, and Epic is all free to play. So now you get banned, you just make a new account, and then it's all over again. So there's no way to really stop this kind of thing. And in this case, Twitch could do something to stop this, but they're really just haven't focused on doing that yet.
Yeah, it's really sad because I've seen a lot more policing coming from the content creators and the streamers than Twitch. Like there's a specific streamer that comes to mind, and it was with reference to transphobia, where he was playing Among Us, and one of the trans streamers that he was playing with was there was like a charity event like a month back or something that was raising money for like a charity that supported trans rights. And what they did is they did a blackout on their own Twitch streams, and they streamed, like, she streamed specifically, and they played Among Us with her. And in turn, if you wanted to watch them play, you had to watch her stream, which in turn supported the charity, which a lot of these streamers have shitlords in their chat because they're kind of more edgy streams. So they attract a lot of those people. And he's pretty good at trying to quell that bullshit, but you can only do so much. And of course, when they weren't on his stream anymore and they felt like they didn't have to take the brunt of the repercussions of getting banned, they went ape shit on her stream, just saying the most deplorable crap. And her mod team, luckily fueled by a lot of extra mods from the streamers that weren't streaming that day, were able to control it to some degree. And what he did, I thought was, it's really sad that he had to do it that way, but it is what he had to do because Twitch wasn't going to do anything. At the end of the day, he was like, okay, now send me the list of every single person you banned on your stream today, and I'm going to cross-ban them on my stream. And he was like, if you're from my stream and you're here, fuck you, and fuck you for doing this shit, and fuck you for being a hateful piece of shit. Never come to my stream again. I don't want your money, and I don't want you. And I was like, that's really cool, but it's also really sad that that's what somebody has to do, as opposed to Twitch being like, this person just posted in Twitch chat like this really deplorable shit. Yep. You're banned. Fuck off and don't come back ever again.
Yeah, that is the sad part. But I think Bruno, you've got some more happier news to talk about.
Yeah. This is actually kind of exciting for me. I hadn't really heard too much of it until I started reading the stories, but I got into these games that I'm about to talk about pretty late in. Like I played my first Star Wars game was like Pod Racer or whatever on the N64.
Jedi Knight.
Something like that.
I think that was my first.
So but then my major game for Star Wars happened once a certain company already owned some rights to those games. So EA released Star Wars: The Old Republic, and that's where I got into it. I think is when that all kicked off. Yeah, that was correct. Yeah, and I started playing that game, and it was okay. There was a lot of money put into it, but it wasn't great. It wasn't like a fantastic game, but it was decent. However, I think everybody agrees that EA has kind of always fell short or totally dropped the fucking ball on Star Wars games. Well, EA will no longer have exclusive Star Wars licensing. It's done.
I wish I had a button to go, yay!
Star Wars games are going to be moving under a Lucasfilm Games banner. So it's done. They're no longer EA specific. That bullshit is said and done. And now I know like a lot of people are like, well, you know, like the last Star Wars games weren't awful. Like Squadrons was decent, and like I think it was Battlefront 2. People initially had a fucking ton of issues, but then after a while, people were like, oh yeah, well I guess it's okay now. But like nobody should settle for okay. We've seen what the Star Wars universe can provide us in terms of the Mandalorian. So yeah. It's time. It's time for them to regain control and fucking do something with it. And they are, which brings me to my next thing, which I'm super fucking excited about. If you have not played a game series called The Division, and especially The Division 2, well, you should, because The Division 2 is a fantastic game. It's really fucking good. But it's by Ubisoft / Massive, what do they call themselves? Massive Entertainment. So Ubisoft / Massive Entertainment is actually partnering with Lucasfilm Games to create a open world Star Wars game. and they're doing it on the same engine that the Division 2 runs on. And if you even pull up Division 2 footage, you'll see that game plays really, really fucking well, actually. And this is with what they were doing with that game, like, 4 years ago in development now when they created the Division 2.
Mhm.
So there's been a lot of room for improvement. Not to mention, it's Star Wars, so the amount of money they can invest into this shit is like leaps and bounds what they probably invested in Division 2. And specifically, the entertaining part is the Division 2 was a really well-made game. They learned a lot from their previous mistakes on the Division 1, and they improved upon the game, in my opinion, like almost fourfold. Like, that game is legitimately on release. I was like, this is like a full fucking game. I'm enjoying this a lot. And they only improved upon it past that point. And these are the same people, that studio is specifically responsible for this open world Star Wars game that's being made now. So essentially, the bullet points here are EA finally lost control of Star Wars, and it's free. It's free finally. It's been put under the banner of Lucasfilm Games, which is great because that means that now they don't have any of that bullshit like pay to win garbage or like microtransaction bullshit that EA forces down everybody's fucking throats. Like, it's just like the only option out there.
Well,
and they're working with a company that doesn't
pump the brakes a little bit. There's still going to be microtransactions. Don't get it twisted. They are not going to. No company is going to rip that out. That would be.
But to the degree that EA does it.
Well, not saying that, but also with more companies, more competition. Essentially, you may have like less of that, or maybe more like better options, I guess, maybe like more valuable items or something.
Well, and hopefully this will help get some competition going, some competitiveness going, where EA is going to have maybe some better games out of this, because apparently they're making a new Knights of the Old Republic game too.
I fucking doubt it, but we'll see. I agree. I'm so jaded towards EA.
Yeah.
At the same time, I'm kind of concerned about Ubisoft making an open world game about this, because while the engine is good, my concern is like, okay, is this going to be another game where like I come up to this Star Wars shaped tower that I have to climb up, and then it opens up a whole bunch of stuff around me?
Another Assassin's Creed.
You know, because they've done that in like Ubisoft game. I mean, the Assassin's Creed and like the Far Cry and just all these games that they've done.
If it was the same studio that handled the creation of the Assassin's Creed ones, I'd probably be a little bit more worried, because like they have a formula and they stick to that formula. It's a good formula now. Like, it works really well for the games that they use it in, but it's not. Yeah. It's specifically a division of their company that does nothing close to that formula. They're like the Division games versus the new Assassin's Creed games. The technical differences are like pretty extreme in them, because the Division has a lot more complex game systems and variety in it, whereas the Assassin's Creed games are kind of more like base combat and like very specific gimmick gameplay loops that work really well. And I should mention in passing that Fallen Orders was a very good Star Wars game, just to throw that in there. Because I did play that through. So they did do some good things. I just don't think that for how long they held control of Star Wars, they did enough good things for them to warrant any more control over it in almost any shape or form.
Agreed completely. So this whole saga of the LucasArts game Banner, because that's what it is. This is not a resurgence of the old Lucas Games studio that was back in the past. This is a banner that's LucasArts, and it's applied to these different franchises. Star Wars being, like the one we most associate with LucasArts, but it's going to be associated with a couple things. In fact, actually, there's going to be a new story, new game in the Indiana Jones universe. And apparently, like most things, this has been in the works for some time. This was actually kind of hinted at. I don't know if anybody remembers that before the Xbox Series S was revealed, or the Series X for that matter, for what it looked like, it was actually teased because Phil Spencer had a video of himself, and in the background, he had this thing that just looked like a speaker in the back, and he literally had an Xbox Series S mock-up sitting in his bookshelf behind him.
Yeah.
Well, apparently the same thing happened. Geoff Keighley, known for being a games journalist, also known for putting on the annual Games Awards, he had, before the most recent Games Award, he had Todd Howard, I believe, right?
Bethesda. Yeah.
From, the head of Bethesda, essentially, now about to be owned by Microsoft. He had him on and had him on a Zoom call. And sure enough, in the background, you saw not only the actual like idol of, right by his hair there, you see the golden idol that from Raiders of the Lost Ark, but right above his head is literally the Ark of the Covenant.
Mm-hmm.
And this was back in November. So it was quite interesting to see that's been hinted at this whole time, which we're done now. Twice now we've had these hints in bookshelves behind these people as like they stream. From now on, anyone has a bookshelf behind them, people are going to go over it with a fine tooth comb and you're going to have 10,000 rumors coming from it. But that's okay. I mean, this is going to be like a new Indiana Jones game. It looks like they had a teaser trailer that came out, lots of hints in it, like tickets to Rome. So they think some of it's going to be around the Vatican City. This is Indiana Jones. He fights Nazis, certainly going to Italy in the time slightly before World War II, up to and around World War II. Well, 1937 is when the ticket was dated for. So, yeah, I mean, he certainly can go to Italy. That'll be interesting. Should be fun to see a new story. There's no release date. There's no idea of what type of game it's going to be, like genre or even what platforms it's going to be on. But being that they're about to be owned by Microsoft, might be exclusive to PC and Xbox. Who knows? We'll find out. The first thing I thought of when I saw this, and interestingly enough, was actually I saw later in a GameSpot article, my exact same concern was, this is Indiana Jones. He doesn't go around killing hundreds of people. Don't get me wrong. He's shot people. He's killed people before, like as necessary. But I mean, most of the time through most of the movies, he's trying to find the artifact. He's getting around traps or solving puzzles. He's running away from like the bad guys that are chasing him, right? And he uses clever ways to hide himself, to get away from them, to like cause them to kill themselves. It's not so much that he's shooting a lot of people. So my concern was really like, how are they going to do this without it turning into like just another Castle Wolfenstein or any of the Wolfenstein series? Because by the way, it's not just Bethesda that's doing this. It's Machine Games, the people that reinvented Wolfenstein, and BJ Blazkowicz, another man who, by the way, fights Nazis. So they're pretty good at that already, but hopefully they can get away from the guns and stuff. And that was really the whole point of this GameSpot article was, hey, it's easy to keep Indiana Jones from turning into Uncharted, or for that matter, Tomb Raider in my own mind, is take his gun away, use his whip, get out of, these issues or these chases or whatever in clever ways. That's how we know Indiana Jones. So I will be really interested to see how this kind of pans out in the long run.
They'll need to do some stealth. They'll need to do obviously puzzles and traps and maybe different ways to solve puzzles and maybe different ways. I mean, really going back to like you said, Tomb Raider, like the original Tomb Raider 1, Tomb Raider 2, where there's just a lot of things that are even like hidden that you don't really realize are even there, and maybe things that you do that aren't really needed and cause more problems later. So that's the kind of stuff they need to do. And yeah, the whip should definitely be like the main weapon. Like you use the whip to do a lot of things. You can hit stuff with it. You can like grapple, essentially like swing with it. Even going back to like the old Pitfall, like that kind of style too. Because I mean that's what it was based on. Pitfall was based on Indiana Jones.
Absolutely.
So it's basically the same concept. And if you remember back on Sega, the Pitfall 3D, that was actually a really neat game for a side scroller platform. It was like definitely a lot of puzzles, even though it was 2D. Even though it was 3D, but it was a side scroller kind of game. They still did a lot of things with the whip and different things like that as well. So they have a lot of potential with this. They could really have a new franchise, like another couple trilogies, they could make. And they could keep making up stories too, because that would be easy to do.
Yeah, and I would love to see that they use a whole bunch of different mechanics, because I mean, it's easy to get the concept, especially with whip and chasings and stuff like that, to use the mechanic of a quick time event. And I wouldn't be opposed to that as long as they were judicious on it. Like, okay, yeah, this one may be centered around quick time events, but maybe this one is, someone else is driving the vehicle, and every now and then, you can just send a command like turn right or turn left, or even like as you're looking around, just click a button and pinpoint the fact that there's a garage there that they can pull into and like, pull down the canopy over it. Use some different mechanics, and I think it would be all right in the long run.
Yeah. And with Bethesda, we'll have to see, because I mean, they do obviously all the Fallouts and, it's in the Elder Scrolls and everything like that. So most of those games are open world, where you kind of explore on your own and come across quests, which in the Indiana Jones world, it's not really just like multiple quests. It's like the one quest and how to get to that quest. So we'll have to see how they do that. Which is why
it's kind of nice that it's Machine Games, because, they did the Wolfenstein basically reboot, right? And that was very much like that. There was a throughput, there was a storyline, they put a whole story behind it. You had a little bit of choice of how you solve different things, but other than that, I mean, it was pretty much you're going down this story, and it wasn't open world. So I think between the two of them, we have a chance of something really good here.
Yeah, until they fuck it up.
Well, I mean, the fact that it's specific to that studio, it's kind of like they have, what the fuck is the name of the studio that makes Dishonored that they own?
I don't remember.
But like similar idea, like they do have like Bethesda / whatever has always had like subsidiaries that do very good single player, not full open world games. They just themselves suck at it. I mean, Bethesda lately has sucked at making any game, let alone a single player, partially linear game.
Arcane Studios.
That's it. Yes, Arcane Studios. Yeah.
Now, speaking of something that we all like and doesn't suck, I know Xycia is a super fan of this.
Oh yeah, no, I'm a huge fan.
Super fan. Can't stop himself from playing it. There was a recent update from Kinetic Games to Phasmophobia. And it was very interesting, the update, because they essentially said, hey, because all of you think that this is a feature, we're going to go ahead and make this a feature. Everybody, when playing this game, figured that the ghost reacted to and tracked people by their voice. Now, yes, the ghost does react when he said its name, but everybody was, hey, go, be quiet, be quiet. If you talk too loud or talk too much, I know in our games that has literally been said that if you talk too much, that you're going to attract the ghost. And apparently that wasn't the case. Now it is. In the most recent update, the ghost will now actually track your voice if you talk too loud, especially when it's hunting. And you can whisper, you can like get really quiet and close on your mic, and it's not going to catch you as much. It's not going to go after you as much as the person who's being boisterous and loud, which means legit in the games that we're playing, I'm fucked. It's going to go after me.
Oh no, it's definitely me.
Well, what's funny is
And
last
Secret
time we
Asian.
played was when my wife played, and she thought she was on mute, and she was hiding, but then she talked, and I watched the ghost go at her, like, stop, and then she talked, and then it went, whoop, and then killed her. And she was like, damn it, I thought I was on mute.
And apparently it wasn't tracking voice at that time, but now it is. Secret Asian friend of the podcast also is going to be totally screwed.
Yep.
Yeah.
But that's not all. Because another thing that we did to avoid the ghost is we'd go into another room and get away from it. And it will actually track your last known position and go to your last known position. So if it lost track of you because you went through a door, it will now, if it's hunting you, go to that door and then like basically look around and scan for you again. So if you break sight with it, get through a door, if you don't continue to break sight again, it's going to catch you. It's going to come through that door and hunt you down. The ghosts truly are at the point that they're going to hunt you down now. So
is this update already out?
My understanding is it is out. It is a recent update.
That explains so much because I played Phasmophobia yesterday and I specifically died in every single one of the 4 missions I played, which is unusual. I died every single time and I was being my usual loud self. And at one point it started hunting. I ran all the way down the hallway to the right and I hid behind a bookshelf. And this fucking asshole, where I thought I was safe with my light off, came into the room and I watched it out of the corner of my eye when it shouldn't have been able to come after me like usual. It came all the way into the room, walked around the couch, and murdered me.
Yep.
Son of a bitch.
Because it's a recent update. And that's not all.
Oh,
In
no.
fact,
wait,
if you
more.
now if you play on the harder difficulties,
so professional,
I believe it's professional difficulty or above, the whiteboard will no longer tell you if the ghost reacts to groups or whether you're by yourself.
Oh, great. Yeah, I guess I won't be playing this game much more. I'm going to uninstall it now.
I can't wait to play it again.
I'd rather play Pacify. At least I know I'm going to shit a brick when I play that.
Hey, we still have to play the other scenario on Pacify.
Yeah,
by this time, maybe they'll have a third scenario.
Yeah.
So,
oh, man.
I'm super excited. I cannot wait to see you again in the Xycia. Just like I cannot wait each week to see what Xycia is going to come up with, to what he is going to find as he pans through the gold of the internet, or pans through the crap of the internet, trying to find the gold. That's right, the gold on our favorite weekly subject. That's right, it's time for Xycia's Cyberpunk 2077 weekly update.
We're eventually going to retire these. It'll be 2077, but it'll be retired. I promise.
Yeah.
Actually, no. So we're into the new year. That we had mentioned that they said they were going to put out patches over the first part of Q1, whatever that may be, first part of the year, I guess. But yesterday they actually had so one of the head of CD Projekt Red, he actually one of the co-founders. This is Martian. I'm going to murder his last name, Iwinski, I believe. But he actually put out a 5-minute video of an apology based on him and the rest of the executive level team addressing the fans of how shitty their game release was for consoles. And the video seems very sincere. It's obviously he's reading something, probably also because English probably isn't their first language. So he's probably having to make sure that he prepares the right speech to say and the right things to say. The one thing at the beginning, though, I did appreciate was that the fact that he said, don't blame the developers and the team. This is not their fault. These are all really talented individuals that really worked hard to make this game. Mm-hmm. It is my fault, and along with the other members of leadership that decided to release this game basically in the state it was in. He kind of says in the over this 5 minutes, he also talks about how he basically said the PC release was great. But what he mentioned most of it was about how the console release wasn't recepted well, wasn't really prepared, wasn't, and he said, and then he brings into, obviously with COVID, having to work from home and everybody's kind of remote and not being able to do the things they usually do. Then, the limited software, hardware, limited capabilities that the old gen processors used and the optical drive and everything. Not saying that he made a lot of excuses, but he did put it out as in, this is kind of like all of the things. And he covered it in 3 different parts. So he covered the first part was like the apology. Second part was basically where they were going. And I'll talk about that in just a second. And the third part was just that, like, don't think that this isn't like the end of us. Like, we've been putting out a lot of games, but we still have more games that we want to announce to you in the future at the time that we do. But one of the neat things at the end of this video to me was that there was a disclaimer. It said this video is recorded in English and was meant for English audience. And it says, if you read the subtitles, like, those subtitles may not reflect exactly what they meant to say, which was kind of interesting. So the second part of the video, what they talked about was the upcoming DLC releases, because they had mentioned before that they were going to have DLC right away, just like The Witcher. Like The Witcher 3 came out, they had DLC available within the first quarter after. What they said is they're going to get the hot fixes and the major bugs that are like the major patches and regular patches out first. That is what their main goal right now to do is fix the game, get the game in a playable state for console so that those people can enjoy the game just like the people on PC have. The second part of that was that he said, the DLC that we had promised you is still coming, but it's going to be the end of 2021 is most likely what they're thinking. So I'm thinking probably 2024 spring, based on the track record of when Cyberpunk was released.
I think that's fair.
I mean, and at that point, DLC's out. You're probably going to have multiplayer at some point in between there somewhere as well. But ultimately, the video's out there. You can take it, however you feel that the video was conveyed. I think they posted it on Twitter. It's on their page, but you can check it out. But ultimately, that's what's happening in the Cyberpunk world. We haven't really heard much else on the lawsuits yet, but obviously putting this video out makes it seem like they're definitely trying to stay friendly with the fans and really try to make things right. At least get their PR up. And a side note is GOG, the games company that they have at their platform that's basically the other competition against Steam or something like that, like a launcher you can buy games from. They actually have been putting out, and people have been kind of saying this, is they've been putting out a bunch of I literally get emails every day like, hey, this game is now 70% off, or hey, get this game for free, or hey, check out this coupon for this other game. And they've been pushing that stuff out. So the marketing there, trying to really keep their name well, has been an active thing they've been doing. So it's interesting because I've been seeing the increase of these emails coming into my inbox basically daily on there's some good deals. It's just, but it's just interesting of what they're actually doing out there. So,
I hope they're not setting themselves up for even more failure, because I felt like, I personally, my take on it was I felt like there were a little bit too many of the excuses thrown in there. It's like there was just no way for us to really know. We just didn't realize internally testing that the state of the game on console was as bad. It's that's just a shit excuse. Internally, if you guys don't have access to a generic PS4, then I don't know what the fuck you're doing as a company. You're legitimately CD Projekt Red. If you guys have access to Henry Cavill and other things associated with your company and the company that's handling parts of your projects, then you fucking have access to one fucking test console, and somebody can load that shit up and be like, guys, this kind of plays like shit.
Nah.
I'm not gonna lie. And somebody's gonna be like, what? You're right. It plays like shit. And he kind of admits we knew that it wasn't playing great, but we felt like we were making really great strides to it working really well. So if he said in the video, he kind of alludes to the fact that the month leading up to it, they made massive strides in performance.
Yeah.
So I have no idea why a month beforehand they didn't just delay the game in the first place. Because if they made massive strides in that 1 month, I can only imagine how much of a piece of shit that game was a month prior to release. If it could barely run without crashing every 30 minutes on a base first release PS4, and you could barely render a fucking car without your game shitting itself, then how the hell did it run 1 month prior? When they turn the console on and it boots and then everything's running fine, and they hit Cyberpunk, and the thing just fucking blue screens and shuts off. Did they not think to themselves, "This is probably a bad sign"?
It didn't blue screen and shut off. It just self-immolated. It just went into flames and just fucking.
We should probably
it went from 10 frames a second to 2 frames a second to 1 frame per second to just burst into flames. And they're like, I wonder if we should patch that.
Maybe we should add another car.
The management, not the developers. The developers are like, oh my God, it's a shit show. It's burning up. You can't release this.
And
there had to have been developers that were like, there's no fucking way, guys. There's just no way. Like, you're working with that product all the time. Like, you know, if you're running it on like a fucking computer that's running like fucking quad 2080s and shit in SLI, and you're like, I'm getting like 76 frames per second, guys, with 4 of these things. Does that sound bad to you? That sounds not great considering you're running it in 1080p. But fuck it, let's roll. That's not what somebody says. They're probably gonna know this is bad. Somebody should tell somebody. And then the executives are like, yes, we understand. But what if, everybody bear with me, what if everybody's on next-gen consoles and everyone gets 3080s or 6900 XTs, right? Wouldn't that's great. Like that's the scenario we're looking for.
And all the developers are like, but we haven't coded for the next-gen consoles yet.
It'll be fine. Just fucking roll it out.
Literally, that was part of the announcement.
Yep.
Is that they're not going to release the next-gen console update till like fall of 2021.
Yep.
Mike sitting here like, please don't derail us. Please don't shit talk Cyberpunk for too long.
No, you're fine.
I can see it.
No, that's like, fine. It
is.
So to kind of go sidetrack and come back, but so Steam, we talked about last week, had mentioned the hours or the games of the year, the games that were the most played games. And I've got a little bit of numbers to kind of back that up, and we'll bring it back to Cyberpunk in a second. But basically, they what those numbers showed is that there was a 50 revealed that the hours played on Steam was 50.7% greater than in 2019. This changed because of the pandemic with COVID. Everybody's at home, most likely playing games because that's what they can do to spend time. They led breaking stats for Steam, including 120 million monthly active players, 62.6 million daily active players, 24.8 million million peak concurrent players, 2.6 million new purchases per month, and 21.4% more games purchased compared to 2019. And the previously mentioned 50.7% that I said was more hours played compared to 2019 statistics. So with that, the other parts with that was that because of the traffic increasing, they saw this since March. Well, once they added in Cyberpunk 2077 to the mix, that also stressed their servers because of the downloads of people wanting to download this game. As we all played, we were waiting. We bought this on GOG, which even that, like minutes after the actual time of the release, we were kind of waiting and hoping that this isn't going to be another WoW where we have to just crash the servers and wait for, or Modern Warfare, wait for hours to get the actual update. But they actually announced that the game-breaking record for downloading traffic with a peak of 52 terabytes per second, which doubled their previous record. And there was also more of 25.2 exabytes of data being downloaded from Steam in 2020. For reference, an exabyte is 1 million terabytes. So
hell yeah.
Obviously, the pandemic has helped Steam and most likely GOG in all of their sales and all of their viewership and everything, because everybody's at home playing. And obviously Cyberpunk helped to that. And another note, well, go ahead.
Well, some of it's that, you know, people aren't going out as much when they're off work. I think some of it is too, is those that are lucky enough to work from home. Sometimes they have all this commute time that they suddenly get back in I mean, I had an average of an hour to hour and a half commute one way. So I'm getting 2 to 3 hours back a day in some cases.
Yeah, same.
So yeah, I mean, some of my gaming has increased because of that, or in my case, a lot more time going to editing, but yeah, so, I mean, some people have been lucky enough to get some extra time back that they otherwise would have lost.
So this is all in an IGN article. You can look this up for all the numbers if you're really like a number person wanting to see all of this visually. But they also announced their VR aspect of what happened as well. Steam also revealed that it had 104 million Steam VR sessions, 1.7 million first-time VR users, 71% more VR revenue, and 30% increase in VR playtime. VR game sales rose 32% year over year, and that's not including the Half-Life Alyx, which added another 39% of that top of that number. So Steam did it big in 2020, thanks to COVID and people staying home.
Yeah, I bet all these game launchers really saw massive surges in playtime.
So, all right. Well, that's been the news. We're going to take a few minutes here for listen to a word from our sponsors. So hang out and we'll talk to you soon. And we're back. So we're going to get into what we've been playing this week. And this will be my favorite time today because I know Brian's going to be super excited to talk about this first game that we've been playing this week. So to give you a little bit of history, long time ago, I was a huge fan of a game called DayZ, which I've talked about before on the podcast. There's any kind of survival crafting type game. Those are the games that I'm really into. Recently, Bruno decided that we should play a game called Rust. Rust is a survival crafting game that is based in almost like if you're familiar with the Stalker series game or familiar with like just not post-apocalyptic, but like a future where it's very dull, like life is not the greatest. There's radiation in different places and like military is kind of roaming the earth on different things, just doing stuff. This is Rust. So Rust has the ability to let you base build, let you do all sorts of different crafting. So there's like different crafting trees and all this different stuff. So anyway, going back to the point was that Bruno introduced all of us to a game called Rust because he decided that he was going to host a server for us for a little bit and we could check it out. And it's turned into, we've been playing like basically every night, at least I have, for, many hours until it probably shouldn't be, but still playing. But it's been a lot of fun, and to get your bearings in this game. So first off, this game is right now $39.99 in the Steam store. It does go on sale, but I will say, out of all of the games I've played, so I've played DayZ, and I have over 800 hours in DayZ. I have Long Dark, which is also a really good game. I've played Among Trees, which is recently, that's still in early access. I've played many other games like the same vein, The Forest, all of that. They're kind of like the same game. This game basically nails all of it. So the crafting is there, the base building is there, the weapons, the atmosphere, the NPC, like there's actually PvE in this game. So there's like actual NPCs walking around, good and bad. There's places to buy things, and you can pretty much do whatever you want. Some of us can't buy things, but we'll talk about that in a minute. So we basically start off in a sandbox and it's wide open and you have different parts of the map that you can go to. You can pick wherever you want to start building your little base if you want to. You can hunt and just try to survive. And then with that, I'll let somebody else speak because then I'll come back to what happened last night, which was a fucking fiasco.
I had fun. I died multiple times, usually from the bad advice from some other players around me. That was hilarious.
Thanks for not calling
They're
me
like,
out.
oh yeah, go to the ranch. You can shop at the ranch. And they immediately gunned me down. And they're like, oh no, it's because you had a weapon out. So why don't you go without a weapon out? I'd go in there without a weapon out and they immediately gunned me down. And so then I tried to sneak in to like get to my body to like gather stuff again. And no, I got gunned down again. It was a reoccurring thing. Bruno, how many times did I die to the ranch that day?
Over 10.
Over 10, yeah.
Yeah. But there's a mechanic that he wasn't catching and nobody was telling him about, which initially his problem was that he walked into the ranch with what he considered a weapon. He had a rock in his hands. You have a very small amount of time to scroll through and it locks your rock out so you can't use it. If you don't, it kills you, and then it puts a 30-minute marker on you to where if you ever go there again within those 30 minutes,
30
it will kill
minutes.
you. Yeah.
Holy shit. No wonder I had problems, because I was going in there like with no weapons at all.
And then to add insult to injury, each time you go in there with the marker and die, guess what it does to your marker? It refreshes the bitch. So you're never going in that fucking place. Right. he died a lot, but it's like from the perspective, it's like the game is, like he said, it's a sandbox game. You build your base, other players exist. The idea of the game is, the general idea is supposed to be very aggro. And what I mean by that is players are supposed to murder other players. There's like an entire raiding mechanic. You're supposed to like go to other people's bases, attack them. Like as you tier up in technology and you get better workbenches, you get like C4 and grenades, and you actually like throw C4 on people's bases, and you like blow up bombs, break into their base, try and kill everybody, take all their stuff. And that's kind of like the cycle of the game. You build, now, it falls, and then you build again.
There is that, but it also allows you to like do alliances where you have a whole bunch of people working with you and on your side, and give them access to your base.
Yep.
Which was hill fucking hilarious the second day that I log in, and I'm inside Xycia's house.
First house.
Locked in there.
Disclaimer, first house.
Because he put a damn lock on the door. And I have no way to get out. And I mean, this is like first time of me playing it, basically. I mean, second day. I have no clue. Fortunately, a friendly other admin / player called Bruno said, "Oh yeah, it's because he has a key. It's probably on him." And I'm like, "Oh, the key's on him." And that's how you open the door. And I look and I loot Xycia, who's asleep. Sure enough, there's a key. And I was like, huh, what if I just took this key with me and left him locked in his own house?
And I would take the key off
but
the
I
other
actually,
people.
I'm not that much of an asshole. I unlocked the door, I put the key back on him, and I walked out.
As weird as it is, the person who makes the lock does not need said key.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, okay.
So,
which is weird, because the tooltip when you make your first lock is, it says make extra copies of the key, because if you lose your last copy, you're out of luck. So
I think it has to do with if you die, like if you were to die with that lock and you didn't have a key, then that lock would not belong to anybody because you're dead. So at that point, it could be locked.
I've never run into that scenario.
So,
but there's eventually better locks that are like numpads. So you just tell everybody the code and you just enter the code and it unlocks it.
So
I do know to make a copy, you have to apparently be on the outside, which doesn't make sense to me. The only time I could make a copy of my keys was when I was on the outside, and then it worked.
So as I play most of these games, it starts off one way, and it always leads to the same outcome for me every time. It's how can I be a farmer? I don't know why this is my thing, but I've found out that like being a farmer in a video game to me is like what's my calling in life, apparently. So immediately,
your kink is cross-pollination.
Yeah. So in this game, they allow you to do farming, but not only just farming, they also have cross-pollination, which they introduce. So if you plant certain plants, each plant has a code, and based on the randomness, like that the RNG of the actual plant, it has a certain genetic code. Well, that genetic code, if you plant it to another plant that's next to it, can potentially cross-pollinate it. So you can actually do some really cool things with that. So I've been really digging in trying to do that. So I've got this huge like farm going on. And then last night, I have a gun, but it's mainly for protection. I'm like Tommy from Snatch at this point. But
how'd you get that gun?
And I got the gun because of Brian. Brian found the gun and gave it to me. And it had 6 bullets. It's really there to find
because our wonderful admin. Well, we'll tell that story later. You tell that. We'll tell that story later.
I have like 6 bullets, and a bear showed up. So I shot the bear with 6 bullets and died. And the bear still mauled me to death, and I started over. So
I love it.
I pick up all my stuff, even though I shot this bear with 6 bullets of this high-powered like assault rifle, and then I continue farming. And then we have and there's random events that happen with these NPCs that I talked about. So there's a chopper gunner, like a huge Huey flying around the map, and it's just random. It just goes around different places. And what I didn't know was that if the Huey sees you, can see you, spot you, and you have a weapon on you, what it considers a weapon, meaning a torch, because you can hit people with that, a rock, a gun, even if it's not equipped, if it's in your hotbar, it will murder you. So I'm Farmer John, farming my crops. Helicopter starts, I hear this helicopter, so I start trying to run back to my house. And I immediately get gunned down from this chopper gunner. I mean, it's like instantaneous. Like, I'm not wearing any armor. Like, I'm just, I'm actually in a hazmat suit. So I get gunned down, and I'm like, well, that's fucking great. Like, at least my house is right here, and I have a bed which I can respawn from. But I'm like, what the fuck? So I immediately spawn back in my bed.
And to be clear, when you respawn with 2 quote unquote weapons in your inventory, a rock and a torch.
So I immediately walk out to get back to my body because I figured the chopper gunner is going to not care now because I'm a new person. So I raid my person, and as I'm raiding my person, I can see the chopper flying above me as it turns around, and 4 to 5 missiles get launched from this helicopter and shoot my base, my house, and eviscerate it. As it blows me up, my base, my friend who's standing there, digital janitor, shout out, and our other person who had been sleeping basically away from the game in my house, completely dead, obliterated. The house is no more. All of the items are on the ground. And the chopper gunner flies away. And I am now having to respawn on the beach to run all the way back to at least the one mechanic I will say is they allow the items to fall to the ground in like a backpack. So then you can pick that stuff up. But there is a timer. That stuff does decay. And so I finally did that, but then I had to rebuild my house. So I spent most of my night last night rebuilding my house.
It was really great because the second he was like, this helicopter is near me, I was like, oh, fuck. And then he's like, the helicopter just killed me. And I'm currently, like, I play on the server, but at this point I was actually just working on the server because we're setting it up to be like an RP server that's open to like being whitelisted and getting people on there. So look out for that in the future.
Yeah, check out the Sash Discord. We'll tell you more about it.
I'm working on setting up these zones that exist within the game, and I'm working on like creating like NPCs that have custom kits. And I'm literally like just sitting there, and the second he says it, I'm like, oh fuck. So I immediately like close the prompt and I type in a command to make myself like legitimately a god so I can like move at like extreme speeds, and then I actually modify my speed modifier to be even faster, and I book it to the other side of the map where he is, and I get to, because I know I've played the game enough, I'm like, that helicopter is about to blow up his fucking base because this dumbass just rezzed inside of his base. And as I'm thinking that, and the helicopter comes into view, I'm like right behind it. I hit F1 and I hit entity space kill, and before I can, all the missiles fire out, and I'm like, son of a bitch, and I just watch his whole base disappear in front of me, and I'm like, no.
That is so beautiful. That makes my 15 plus deaths
we're
so
not done.
Worthwhile.
We're not done. So I'm angry at this point, but I'm not as angry as if I would have probably quit if the fact they would have hit my farm. I would have probably quit because I had spent so much time getting that farm up and running. I would have been done. But luckily it didn't hit the farm, and that's a different entity itself because it's a different locker that ties like that land together or whatever. So it didn't shoot that base. It didn't know that base was mine essentially, or care. But so I said, all right, well, going forward, I'm going to have SAM sites around my base. I'm going to have all kinds of protection because like this is bullshit. So I had actually found a shotgun trap. Randomly, and I made a new base, and I made like a room to secure like my items inside the base in case people did stay with me. I have another door that's locked that they couldn't get into, but behind that door I put the shotgun trap because I figured if someone did break into my house, at least if they broke in through this door, they would get greeted by a shotgun, and that way potentially they could die. Potentially die, or potentially at least get hurt. Whatever, even if they come back and breach my base, whatever, that's fine. At least I've got a shot on them. So I was testing this. So I said, hey, Mr. God Bruno, can you come to my base and help me test this to see how it works? Because I want to see if like you can actually die. Like he could be res right back, no problem, because he's a god, right? So Bruno says sure, he'll come over. So he comes over, and I loaded this shotgun with 10 shells, and I closed the door, and I said, all right, so behind that door is the shotgun. I just want you to open the door, and I want to see if it hits you and what it does. It's supposed to shoot anybody that's not me, anybody that's not associated with the house. So he goes over, and he's got God mode on, so he doesn't die. And he opens the door, and that first shot hits him so hard, it looks like it would have dropped him. It probably would have killed him. But since he's not dying, the shotgun continues
to kill me.
Oh, perfect. So the shotgun then proceeds to keep shooting because he's not dying. So he starts backing up because the shotgun's shooting at him, and he's just trying to get out of the way so it doesn't shoot anymore. Well, it shoots through my floors all the way to the other side of the wall, destroys my workshop that I have built there, destroys the ceiling, destroys the foundations. So my house has literally been split in half by this fucking shotgun trap that I had set myself in a fucking house that I built, my house number 2. So, and so as I'm doing this, like, he's seeing my reaction, and Secret was playing with us at the time, and he's like, oh my God, please tell me you recorded this. And then Bruno was like, I didn't have to. I could see his character going like up and then down, then to the left and then down, then to the right.
You can, with a character that has no emotions, you can't see a face or anything because we're in a hazmat suit. You could still see the disappointment in the way that he moved, because his character's just standing there looking right at me where I should be dead. And he just watches his base get deleted piece by piece. And he kind of like, he looks over at the shotgun trap, and then he's like, looks all the way over the other side of his base as it's falling apart, and then looks down at the floor where the wood is crumbling, and then looks up at the roof. And he just looks back down at the floor, and he just stops moving. And I'm like, that is disappointment in keyboard commands if I've ever fucking seen it.
It was,
oh my God,
it was so bad. So long story short, the thatch, the pretty wood is better, or is not as good as you think it may be. And a shotgun can destroy the walls of that house. So I will say I've been having a lot of fun with this, and it's been great. But like, as Bruno said, we are going to be hosting a SAS Gaming Rust server, which will be a dedicated whitelisted RP, so role-playing server. And we'll have more details for you about that on our Discord. So if you want to check that out, there's going to be a separate Discord for just this purpose because of the factions and such. But you can find out more information on our Discord. So anyway, so that's Rust. I would definitely check it out. $39.99 on Steam.
Fucking Rust. What a game.
What a game.
Wow. Fuck you. I can't follow that up.
I mean, I guess, like, I feel like I kind of have to recap that, like, from my point of view. So it's a new server, and I'm trying to do some interesting things with it, events for the future. And I was like, well, it'd be cool. What if I took, like, some of these mods and I set up, like, this event where essentially 2 high yield drop tanks would duke it out somewhere in the map, and people could interject and kill them and take their loot. So I set this up, and then I had to go raid on WoW, and I just left it as is. Well, little did I know that I fucked up terribly on the event manager page. And instead of it spawning 2, which is supposed to be the limit.
So this was on Tuesday during Game of the Moment. So if you were watching the stream, we were talking about this moment happening, and we were like, I bet Bruno's fucking with us. But go ahead.
I created a monster. Instead of it spawning 2, it spawned 17 tanks in total. And kind of just had a general... They just had a general idea of I should fucking sit around monuments and kill things. Which is, I mean, effectively what they did. I mean, aside from the fact that some of them got stuck and
my God.
just kept attacking monuments.
Let me tell you, from the perspective of someone who had been playing Rust for a grand total of 20 minutes, and in that 20 minutes time had died 10 times, most of them to the ranch. That was the highlight. When I saw this tank coming along and shooting the ranch, And I'm like, holy shit, that tank is like, it's got a machine gun, it's got a main cannon, it's going around. That was great. And then I was like, guys, no. I was like, everybody shut up. There's 2 fucking tanks out here and they're shooting each other. This is so fucking cool. And they're like, there's 2 tanks. I was like, there's 2 freaking tanks.
Little did we know there was 17 tanks.
There were 17 tanks.
By the time that I finally got on, there was much less left because I noticed what was happening at some point. And you can do a lot of things with the event. So I actually modified the event plugin. And I was like, hey, you know what? Your event tag is to fucking drive to the middle of the ocean and die. So there was a migration of tanks that just happened to cut across the area that a lot of their bases existed in. One of the bases I didn't even know existed was a buddy of ours, Rob. He had a base there, and I guess a bunch of tanks just paraded past his fucking base and drove off into the sunset to drown themselves in the ocean. But a lot of them worked as intended. They duked it out and blew each other up. There was way more than there should have been.
Cool. I loved because I'm streaming and I've only been playing for like 20, 30, 40 an hour at max, through this stream. So I'm essentially naked with a rock where, Xycia's got a whole friggin' farm going on.
And naked meaning actually naked. Like you can
actually naked.
You can see all of the body parts.
That's not much of a spoiler. But so I'm like, okay, well, I've got to do something that's going to be, I don't know, somewhat entertaining during the stream because I'm not going to be able to do very much. So I'm like, fuck it. What happens if I come up behind this tank and hit it with a rock? Oh, I mean, the obvious thing is you die, but not just the way you think. It does do damage. And I'm like, okay, so let's keep experimenting. I'm like, for science. These things are autonomous. They move around. They attack different things. They attack each other. It was fantastic. They attack things that aren't attacking them, which was hilarious when they were in the harbor just shooting random shit. They will attack you even though you're a mile away and you're like watching shots going over your shoulder. But I was like, these things move around. Can I ride it? That's the question. Everybody's no, it sucked. Yeah, like. And I was kind of disappointed by it. I came up, I tried to jump on that. You instantly die, which was anticlimactic. I know, but hey, at least we gave it a good try there. And then coming to the guns, because our admin felt bad for spawning 17 tanks and have them scroll by people's bases and sometimes shoot at them, run them over, kill them. He said, okay, well, I'm going to do a supply drop. And he did a supply drop, which was fantastic. Here comes this plane going overhead and does a supply drop. So you see his parachute. I'm looking up the parachute. I'm like, it's like I'm in the event horizon of a black hole and time has stopped because the damn thing just didn't seem to get any bigger at all. It's just like hovering up there, not moving.
They take a really
it takes a long time.
It's fucking aggravating. The idea behind them is if they come in, it gives anybody on the map an opportunity to go and contest it. The problem with that is like if there's nobody to contest it, you're waiting for fucking ever. Like it just sits there for
forever.
Ages. It is legitimately like 5 to 10 minutes for that thing to come out of the sky. It's fucking unreal.
Finally it dropped down. And there were a number of guns in it. And I mean, I was like, again, new player and was a hysterical moment for a brief moment because I'm coming up and I'm like, hey, Xycia, how you doing? He's like, no, I see what you got in your hand. You got a gun there. No. And I was like, no, dude, seriously. And he's like, no. And I'm like, and I just dropped him at his feet. And I'm like, dude, here's some guns.
Yeah. Oh, man. What a game.
And I left you all the ammo. Probably where you get shotgun ammo from.
I had to make it.
So, seriously, following that, fuck y'all for making me follow that up.
You're welcome.
But the other game that I've been playing is Control. It's fun. It's got a good story. It's engaging. It's got some cool mechanics. It's really cool when you go through a map and you come out and you're like, wait, I shouldn't be back where I started from. That doesn't make sense. And then you backtrack and you find you can't even backtrack all the way, that it ends in a, like just a wall, or you're seeing like a conference room that has glass windows all around it and no door. You're like, how do these how do they get in here to do a meeting? It's Control is got a lot of supernatural, but seeped in like a bureaucratic government agency vibe to it. It's literally a government agency that you all of a sudden are the director of, and you're like, how the hell did this happen? It's pretty cool. Highly recommend you go check it out. It's free on Xbox Game Pass, and Steam is $39.99. But that's all I'm going to talk about, because not nearly as entertaining as talking about Rust.
Oh man. Well, that'll take us into our shorts. So for the first short today is talks about Luigi's new ride. This is a Kotaku article. And I'm going to read the title, because the title is probably the most entertaining part of this article. Is Luigi's new ride is just a penis. Let me explain. So there today, this was posted on actually yesterday was the Mario Kart's 35th tour. Of the mobile Mario Kart's 35th tour. So what they did was they transported all the players to Berlin, Germany, where Luigi dons knee-length leather shorts and rides about town in a wheeled phallus brandishing a fork-skewed sausage. So as you can see, the picture he just showed, he's brandishing a fork-skewed sausage. He's literally riding a sausage.
Oh yes,
and he's got. It's but it looks kind of ridiculous. And the article is wrote by this is the journalist that's wrote this. Basically, he's like, I'm a son of a German orphan, and he's not sure to be either offended or excited. But either way, he's happy. So yeah, so check it out.
I mean, that cart legit looks like a penis backwards. And of course, it's got to be Luigi. And just as a reminder, we reported on Minecraft Steve, who showed his meat in his victory pose in Smash. So seems to be a reoccurring theme. Moving on, we have Super Nintendo World, or Nintendo World, that was supposed to be opening up in Japan and later in Florida. However, we have this small little pandemic thing going on. And of course, that's going to cause us problems. And it's been delayed again. It was supposed to open up February 4th. However, because of the really state of emergency declared across several prefectures in Japan, they've decided, okay, well, maybe it's not a good idea to actually open this up right now. And I mean, I couldn't agree more. I mean, we do want to see, the Nintendo based theme park opening up. However, it's just not going to happen for a while.
Yeah. Also not happening for a while is, so we had during the PS5 announcement day for gaming, they announced Hogwarts, which is going to be a new Hogwarts Legacy, which is a new Harry Potter game coming to the platform, along with now we've announced that it's going to be going to also PC as well. And I think Xbox Series X actually as well. But we had a new announcement as of yesterday. And this is what it said. It said, from Hogwarts Legacy, it says, we'd like to thank our fans from around the world on the tremendous reaction to the announcement of Hogwarts Legacy from our Portkey Games label. Creating the best possible experience for all of our Wizarding World and gaming fans is paramount to us, so we are going to give the game the time it needs. Hogwarts Legacy will be released in 2022. So this game, obviously after the backlash of Cyberpunk, is also deciding to push their game out a little bit longer to make sure that it has the time that it needs. So good luck to them. Hopefully this game will get what it needs, and we'll see a good Harry Potter game in the future.
Fingers crossed. In Pokemon news, somebody created part of Pokemon Diamond and Pearl, Twin Leaf Town in Route 201 in the Unreal Engine. It looks freaking amazing. It's just like a small little thing that we found. People have been trying to recreate little bits and pieces of different Pokemon games for a long time. So I think like Pokemon Red and Blue has been recreated in some degree, but just small portions. Just a taste of what could exist if Game Freak just did a little bit more.
It would be nice.
Would be nice.
I would play the shit out of an open world actual Pokemon game.
If there was a Pokemon game that looked like that and was like an MMORPG,
yes.
I don't care if it's subscription based. If I got to buy in and then pay a subscription, if I got to buy in, pay a subscription, and I have to spend like $50 a month on the item mall in order to not get banned, I'll do it.
I don't know about all that, but I would play it.
No, I don't care, man. I don't care for Pokemon. I'll sell out. I'll fucking do it right now.
All right, Game Freak, we're looking at you. Oh man,
right?
Kind of in not the same vein, but so based on the Capitol riots from last week, there is another gaming live streaming website that also caught some flack for the Capitol riots. As we mentioned before, Twitch, obviously YouTube, we had people streaming on all different platforms. There's also a platform called DLive, which also hosted multiple streams on the Capitol Wednesday. They had some people, and I'm not going to mention their names because these people don't deserve their name to be published, but basically they were saying they had more than 140,000 people watching their streams during this mob while they were there on and also taking donations and everything like that. But DLive was basically founded by an entrepreneur named Charles Wayne back in 2017. It's a small, lower scale Amazon Twitch, which they got some popularity out of PewDiePie basically playing on there for a little bit. And from that, they've said, they are nowhere. They don't condone any sort of violence or anything, hate speech on this platform. So this wasn't something they were backing. But they did say that, going forward, they will definitely check into anybody that's doing this kind of thing. And then these people will be having their channel taken down. So there's a whole write up on this. It's on thewired.com. You can check out the story, but in full. But that's the short.
In a little bit more friendlier and fun news, with the pandemic, D&D, like video games, has been seeing a continued resurgence. Now, don't get me wrong, D&D has been going gangbusters even before the pandemic. But of course, during it, people have been at first shying away from it because, it's used to be in person, but with some of the electronic tools, it's a lot easier now than it ever has been before to do it not in person. And they have a brand new book that is releasing coming up in March. And it is called The Candlekeep Mysteries. What makes this a little bit different is it's a series of small mystery-based adventures, 17, in fact, that are meant to be one-shot. So they're smaller than even some of their other compilation of stories that they've had before. And on top of that, unlike some of their other compilations that they had before, these are all brand new content. They're not based on previous content like, Tales of the Portal and other books that they've had in the past. So definitely look out for that. That looks like it's going to be really interesting. One last thing, because of some of the authors in it, up to 19 authors in these 17 stories, some of the dungeons are actually wheelchair accessible. Oh, continuing on. That's the trouble with assigning myself 2 shorts in a row. Continuing on. Also in Dungeons & Dragons news, there will be a new Dragonlance novel that is going to be released. The first one since 2007. And not only is this a good thing because we've got a new Dragonlance novel coming out, but it was nice because there was a lawsuit going on between the authors, Margaret Weiss and Tracy Hickman, with D&D Wizards of the Coast, because they were saying, hey, we're not going to accept any more rewrites and we're just going to go with the one novel. And they're like, no, you got a 3 novel. They figured it all out. That lawsuit's been stopped. They're going to release the novel. And even on top of that, there might even be some 5e rules being released for the Dragonlance setting coming out, as some people have kind of dropped some hints about stats they've seen for races specific to that setting.
All right. In PUBG news, so PUBG, PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds, has released a new patch, patch 10.2, which is currently live on the game's test servers. They're going to soon slap a 0 to 5 next to your profile when you're team finding, which is going to let other people know how, and this is straight up what they say in PC Gamer, how roughly how pleasant you are to play with. So you're going to have a rating scale to see how much of a piece of shit you actually are when you play with other people. So based on if you leave the game early or if you shoot your own teammates or do anything else like that, you can now have the rating to go with it. So we'll see that coming out into the new patch.
Oh my God, I think we need that on Twitch.
That exists on League of Legends to some degree, except there's no negative concept. It's only positive. But if you see somebody who's got thousands of games played and they don't have many points, then you're like, why don't you have any honor? You piece of shit. I don't even know what to call this news. It's kind of weird.
Oh, it's weird.
We'll see. We'll see how it works out. But there's a movie coming for Borderlands, and it's gonna be starring Kate Blanchett, if I'm saying her fucking last name correctly, Kevin Hart, with Eli Roth set to direct. Which I think is, a Borderlands movie sounds cool. But essentially, it looks like they're going to start filming sometime before summer of 2021, which is based on some information on studio booking. And weirdly enough, it seems that the movie, which gives me hope, is being written by a guy named Craig Mazin, who I don't know him by name, but apparently he wrote The Hangover and Scary Movie sequels. And then he actually wrote, and this is such a weird, I want you guys to sit and marinate in this for a second. He wrote Hangover and Scary Movie sequels, and then he became critically acclaimed for writing the HBO series Chernobyl. So there's some weird ass contrast in this guy's fucking writing, but there you have it. This is the team they've assembled for the Borderlands game.
It sounds like someone said, what is Borderlands? Oh, it's like comedy, but there's like this dark twist. And they're like, who's a director that could direct this? And they pulled his name out of the hat.
That's not my problem. My problem is
Tiny Tina being Kevin Hart.
No, Borderlands. Kevin Hart. Who the hell does Kevin Hart play?
The obvious choice is Tiny
You gotta
Tina.
think Borderlands is like we're going way over a 1 minute on this short, but it is kind of interesting. Kevin Hart as an identity, his acting, him as an actor and him as himself is the same thing. There's no difference in Kevin Hart. And if this somehow ever makes it to Kevin Hart, he'd probably fucking agree.
He's the short, squeaky, scared out of his mind man.
But
who in Borderlands is that?
Anybody, because Claptrap. I don't fucking know.
He could be Claptrap.
Oh my God.
He could be Claptrap.
Oh, you nailed it. He'll fucking play Claptrap.
He'll play a vulgar version of Claptrap.
Oh, that's my God.
Oh, that's awesome.
You heard it here first.
Yes, you fucking nailed it.
Here we go, guys. We're in for a wild ride. Kevin Hart as Claptrap, some whack-ass director and writer
We gotta
choices.
bring
Get
Dwayne
fucking
Johnson.
ready.
We have to bring Dwayne Johnson in. He has to be part of this.
Oh my God. Oh yes. Well, he at least would play like one of the heroes in Borderlands. That would make sense.
Yeah, he could be
one of the big tank
the soldier
guys,
guy.
got a shield and shit, or the mech. But no, Xycia nailed it. He said, "You heard it here first, folks. Kevin Hart is going to play Claptrap in the next Borderlands movie. That would be amazing."
Well, in the Borderlands movie. Oh man.
Well, continuing the movie news, we have the director that did Moon and apparently also Warcraft. You can't all be hits, right? Anyway, he's going to be doing a movie based off of Full Throttle.
Oh, wow.
The LucasArts adventure game, as Dymyrn so gracefully said it earlier today, released when I was 3.5 years old.
I remember playing this game, but I didn't get very far because it was above my, I guess, like level of gaming at that time. Like it just didn't make sense. It's more of an adult themed game anyway.
I mean, it has its fan base. People loved it. It was an adventure game. You played like this motorcycle riding guy and you had to solve some stuff. But Duncan Jones, who is literally at the man-made Moon, the man who made the movie Moon, who's going to be directing this, says, I enjoy writing. I also hate writing. Sometimes when I can't squeeze out the thing that I want to write, I write something else. This happened to me a lot during COVID. Sometimes I just browse on the web or tweet. This is a tweet he threw out. One day I saw Tim Legend post a link to this, Full Throttle 2020. And, reimagined like some concepts and just like this like little video short that someone made. He goes, it blew my mind. I love that game. I mean, really love that game. So next time I had one of those freezes, I started writing this, a fan script for the LucasArts classic Full Throttle. Enjoy. And it possibly could be made into a movie. We'll just have to see. Find out for sure.
All right. Well, time to get back on my bullshit. This story is like just a little bit of justice and just a little bit more of what the fuck. This is gonna go over the 1 minute. I'm just gonna fucking we already know it was, but here's the title.
Entering Bruno's rant.
Black PS5 sale ends in disaster as all orders are canceled due to staff threats. I wonder what could have transpired with PS4 sales of a custom PS4 from a small fucking retailing company that's customizing them. I could only imagine where this is going. So, a company that goes by the name of, I guess they try and call themselves Supers or Super 5. I don't fucking know. They honestly, their name is enough for me to just not like them. They canceled all their orders due to alleged threats made to its staff after it sold out of units. And it starts with like,
wait, how many units?
300. 300 fucking units. Now, I don't know who here thought this was a good fucking idea, but it's not. First of all, you have PlayStation already saying shit like, we don't support like sale of like customized versions, but these guys somehow slipped through. They make 300 units in a market that is fucking a barren wasteland. Like we're on the fucking frozen tundra. You don't even have fucking berries to pick, and these motherfuckers are like, hey guys, guess what I have? I have 300 steaks. You guys want some fucking steak? You guys want some steak? All right. Well, let's set fire to fucking everything so we can cook these. Because they fucking released these 300 highly anticipated consoles, which feature a custom design based on the PlayStation 2. So they do look cool. By the way, this is just going to get worse.
Beautiful.
We're going to descend into darkness very quickly. That joke was as shitty as this story is. But okay, here we go. So first of all, they're custom consoles that cost $250 more than the original, at a price of $649. So $200 more overall than the regular PlayStation 5. And then they go online, shocking to everybody. Their store completely shits itself because 300 consoles, what could possibly go wrong?
Right.
But it shit itself in such a phenomenal way that it didn't actually stop people from buying consoles. No. We went past the out of stock limit, and then it just started selling people consoles and taking their money without having anything, but then failing to send them an order confirmation because there was nothing to fucking confirm. You don't have anything. You don't have shit. You don't have stock. You had 300, and you got like probably tens of thousands, not hundreds of thousands of people slamming your website for your fucking PS2 skinned PS5. And again, the tundra of all fucking console times. And these fuckers are like, oh, well, we're just processing fucking payments for overpriced consoles to people that aren't going to get them. So, because of the way the gaming industry is today, exactly what happened. Actually, let me add one more layer to this shit that they kind of misplaced in the story. These consoles, because there's a specific rule with the controllers, if you skin a controller, like as in, color it black, coat it, whatever.
Well, especially since notice that PlayStation button on it isn't black like the original colors. That's a colored PlayStation button. So they replaced that button.
Yep. The warranty on these controllers is void. So if something's fucking wrong with this piece of shit, you can't even return it. So now you've paid $650 for a console where part of it's already got a voided fucking warranty, even though it's brand new. And the best part is you never get the fucking console. You just get the charge. So it's like all of the negatives of the experience with none of the positives, like at all. Like it's like doing meth, but all it does is fuck you up and you never get high. It's as bad as it gets, really, if you're thinking about it. Not that I've done meth, but I can imagine.
So,
okay.
So to that wonderful listener who sent in an email last week going, what about Bruno and Scalpers? Has he lost his fire? No,
it got stolen so that they could burn this fucking company to the ground.
Yeah, because here you go.
So anyways, it continues. So they of course go too many consoles or too few consoles, too many people purchasing it. Website fails. People are getting charged out the ass for consoles they don't have. Companies like, whoops, our bad. We're gonna fix this. People are pissed. So apparently they didn't obviously provide information, but their people started getting death threats and shit. People are like, you guys fucking kill you. How dare you? Like, I want this PS5. Fuck off. KYS. Blah 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 blah. So what does the company do? They're like, you know what a good knee-jerk reaction is? You know what a really good knee-jerk reaction is? Let's just say, fuck everyone, including the people that purchased the console. We're going to cancel all of the orders.
Everything.
We're just going to cancel everything, and we're not going to do business with any of you motherfuckers. So it's like, it was adding insult to injury, and then when you're injured and you're bleeding out, you ask somebody to run you over with a train, and then you're like, okay, I've been run over with a train. Now just fly a fucking plane and blow it up right on top of my corpse. I want to be like cinders by the time this is over. That's how bad I want life to be. And they did it. They fucking did it. These crazy bastards sold a $200 marked up console with voided warranty, oversold it to people with no fucking console, and then canceled the 300 orders they could have met. They literally managed to fuck up on a magnitude that no other shitty-ass vendor has been able to do so in this entire time, maybe ever. This was the most brilliant failure in console history, and we just finished 2020. If that's any example of how fucking low the bar was, we buried the bar in like 50 feet of cement and let it fucking settle. And these fuckers were like, we're gonna dig down past that 50 feet and put our bar another 100 feet below it. And here we are with this fucking short. Fuck, I hate people. All right, I'm good now.
God damn.
So no, I have to follow that up.
No, wait.
So
damn.
So
the product looked so good though. I mean, shit. The intent, like all of the buttons on each of the consoles and on the controller are with the colored PlayStation button. It looks so good. They did. I mean, you know
what that means? When it's too good to be true, it is.
Well, because these are probably renders, to be honest.
Yeah. Maybe they have zero consoles. That'd be par for the fucking course as far as I'm concerned. We didn't actually have any, guys. Right. Sorry. We were going to prep depending on demand.
But, I mean, the concept that they have here looks really good, to be honest. So, kind of sad in the long run.
I think there's like a footnote that there's a Canadian company working on side panels. Let's hope that they just stop.
All right,
there
moving
you go,
on.
Xycia. Follow that up.
Yeah. Good luck.
Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind was a very big hit for the Elder Scrolls series back when it first released on, I think, the original Xbox. And so recently I've been playing Skyrim myself and playing a lot of mods, trying to get all of that up and running. And also there's projects called Open Skyrim with a bunch of modders have been working on for years now, trying to make and recreate a lot of these places. So there's a YouTube guy named Mr. Moonshine. And he shared a video showing Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind running in OpenMW. with over 300 mods. And basically, OpenMW is a free open source and modern engine which re-implements and extends the 2002 GameBro engine that Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind was on. But it also comes with its own editor. They also have a way to recreate other mods and things. And he also put out the list of the 300 mods that he was using in the video. So if you're interested in this, he's got his video online. Like I said, his name is Mr. Moonshine. He's got a list of his mods and then where you can get the OpenMW to be able to play it like that.
By the way, Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind, if I remember correctly, was amazing on the PC. It had a 3D map for the dungeons, which was unheard of at the time. I mean, you rotated around and you could figure out like it wasn't the best fidelity or graphics, but yeah, it was pretty cool looking.
Well, it was also the one that we mentioned that Bethesda announced that the reason that they did loading screens or during that time, they actually had to recache the memory because there wasn't enough memory in the Xboxes back then. So during that loading screen, they actually rebooted the system to free up the memory so you can continue on to the next part of the map. So tidbit.
Yeah, they could reboot it with something on screen that was amazing. Just crazy. So going from that amazing thing to, let's face it, kind of another failure. So there's this whole concept of virtual restaurants or ghost restaurants. And what they are is they're restaurants that have extra capacity. And so they rent out their kitchen for this online only orders. Hi, Parker. For food. And you can create your own menu and they'll like DoorDash it. So Mr. Beast created Mr. Beast Burger and set it up for a whole bunch of virtual restaurants. He's a massive YouTuber, a content creator out there. And there was this great Kotaku article about like, I accidentally ordered a YouTuber's burger and he got it and it was horrible. The meat was gray. It was barely seasoned. It tasted horrible. It was cold. Not even to mention that, you don't know what kitchen it's coming from. You don't know if it's an actual legit kitchen that has gone through health inspections or if it's something on the side that is like only doing online stuff. So maybe the health inspectors don't know about it and they're kind of like working this out of a abandoned place that may not be the cleanest. However, hey, at least when he got his burger, it came from this really awesome looking car that I'm sure was used one time for this and looks kind of cool.
All right. So this next article is one that I completely missed on my list. But it's basically Riot and Bungie are teaming up to sue Valorant and Destiny 2 cheat makers. So this is a Polygon article that basically looks like there's a lawsuit from Riot Games and Bungie for producing hacks for Valorant and Destiny 2, along with other games that accordingly to what Polygon this article has basically mentioned. So apparently there's a lawsuit happening.
Gator Cheats. That's who they're suing. I love the name. Cameron Santos of Gator Cheats. In California? How are they not out of Florida?
Yeah, really.
Right? How is Cameron Santos just not another Florida man here?
Man, Good luck, Cameron. Fucking Riot. That's all. That's some.
Yeah, the software was supposed to specifically design to undetect Riot and Bungie's anti-cheat technology systems. And you would pay like $90 a month or $500 a year to access these cheats. And they've made over 10 to hundreds of thousands of dollars on these cheats. And what's funny, because Valorant is one of those that has really complex cheat engines where it actually detects like your chipset or something like that. I can't remember exactly the way it's designed, but it actually
loads at a normally protected layer that is lower than the operating system even for Valorant, which is why people had a concern with it.
Right.
Literally,
in fact,
you can't disable it. If you disable it when your OS is open, you can no longer play the game until you reboot your computer because it has to again inject itself and load on that layer, which gives
In
it
fact,
a lot of ability.
It loads on a layer that normally only viruses load on, which is below the OS layer.
Yep.
So yeah, it's kind of a weird anti-cheat that was really controversial when Valorant came out. Still is, actually.
Yeah. So that's our shorts for the day. And usually we move on to our emails, but this week we don't have any emails. But if you do want to send us one out. It's goa@sasgaming.com. We'll read it out. You can tell us whatever. Ask Bruno for another rant if you want to. Rant 3 will be on, so we can start a counter for that, I guess. Anyway, that's what got our attention this week, guys and gals. We appreciate you guys listening out there. If you want to hear more from us individually, you can follow me on Twitter at Xycia Gaming, also on Instagram, Xycia Gaming, and then on Twitch, I'm just Xycia. So feel free to check me out whenever I do stream. Lately, I haven't been able to do much, but potentially want to get back into doing that a little bit more. Plus, we have this Rust server coming up, so I'll probably be doing that a little bit more as my role-playing Farmer John. So we'll see how that goes. Brian, you want to give us your information?
Yeah, I really want the ARC server because I can't believe you're going to limit yourself to pre-lasers and not riding dinosaurs, but whatever, I should have said that earlier. You can find me at Phoennix Nova, PHOENNIX_Nova on Twitch on the rare occasions that I am streaming. I'm working on increasing that. I say that every week. Get rid of the underscore if you want to find me on Twitter. Bruno, how about yourself?
You can find me on Twitter at Dymyrn Gaming or on Twitch at just Dymyrn. And yeah, ARC server doesn't sound like a bad idea. Maybe we should put up some votes for future servers.
Yeah.
Go from there. Who knows?
Yeah, as we said,
free on Game Pass.
We're gonna be setting up a separate Discord for just the Rust server, so that way the role playing and whitelisting can stay there. But if you want any more information on that, feel free to just go to our actual Discord now, our SAS Gaming Discord, which will post most of that information in, so you can find that. But that's pretty much it for this week. As again, always, we love you guys. Thanks for listening, and tell your friends. Definitely like to ramp up in 2021. This is episode 31, and we're already halfway over for our almost a year of been doing this. So, which obviously
Right.
with much support from you guys, the listeners. So we do, and the viewers actually too, because you guys watch live. So we really appreciate that. And until next week, obviously you guys stay safe, wear a mask, and yeah, we love you. Take care.